Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining me tonight. As you know, my name is Jeremiah Childers. I have been appointed by the governor to be the new director of Wisconsin Emergency Management. A little background about myself. I have been in the fire service for 30 years. The past 15 years have been split between two different departments. One of the departments was a small town department, and the other one was a larger metro department. During my time at those departments, I got to experience everything from working with volunteers, working with multi-jurisdictional agencies, working with career firefighters, and probably most importantly, my engagement with elected officials and citizens within those cities where I served. I am experienced in multi-agency coordination and have been involved in multiple large-scale events and incidents. I think the experience that I bring will greatly enhance the state's emergency management, and I am humbled to have the opportunity to serve you as your emergency management director. I'm reminded of what Marinucci stated in the Chief Officer's Handbook, 7th edition. When we look to the future, we do not know what it's going to be like. However, the past has shown us what we can expect. The way we approach the issues will likely look different than it did in the past. Tonight in my presentation with you, I am going to outline my goals, objectives, and show you a path of where we plan to go over the next 5 years. As Marinucci states, that it will be different from what we are experiencing now. We may have an idea of what it's going to look like, but we don't know for sure. But the one thing that we do know for sure is that we are going to have to seek opinions and get input from others. We will not be able to do this alone. So our goals and visions. We need to maintain the mission of preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. And what does that look like? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to prioritize people-first leadership. We have to take care of those who take care of others. That will be my number one goal as your emergency management director, will be to take care of our personnel so that they are able and ready to respond when needed. We need to create a safe, innovative, and inclusive work culture where everyone's views and values are respected as well as solicited. We want to be proactive, not reactive. In the emergency management realm, it's very easy to be reactive and unprepared. When we look at the past and we look into the future, we will see that we can learn from the lessons of failures in the past. We can debrief going forward and continually use process improvements in order to get better. The emergency management must be effective during incidents. And in order to do that, we're going to have to combine data technology upgrades with strong leadership. As you may or may not know, the federal government is transitioning from the NFIRS platform that was created back in the 1970s. NFIRS was a way to collect data on fire and emergency EMS incidents and use that data to direct the future to strengthen the service of emergency management. Because the system had become antiquated, there was a lot of things that we wanted to extrapolate from the data that was put in, but we were not able to do so because the technology just didn't exist at the time. So the federal government is rolling out NARAS, and NARAS will be a new way of inputting our emergency data so that we can really direct our public safety, and we can present that data to our elected officials and citizens to show them where our vulnerabilities are. And I'm very excited about this new technology that's coming forward toward the end of this year. We need to have real-time communication and improved situational awareness. We want to invest in incident command system training and the culture of after-action improvement, as I mentioned. When it comes to responding to incidents, we can't do so without effective specialized teams. One of the things that we want to invest a lot of our energy into is strengthening search and rescue, hazmat or hazard mitigation teams, and technical rescue. We want to take an all hazards approach so that the responders who come to the scene are capable of mitigating any incident that they find, and if they don't, at least they have situational awareness to be able to call in the help that they need. It is very important that we have cross-trained personnel for that very reason. And the best way to define whether or not we are proficient is to utilize mutual aid drills. The mutual aid drills will serve as a way to create these after actions so that we can say, hey, what did we do well? What didn't we do well? But either way, it's hopefully everything goes well, but if it doesn't, then it becomes a valuable learning experience. And as I mentioned, we want to support responder rest and readiness. Rehab, this is also a very important priority because especially in prolonged incidents, we have to make sure that we have fresh people to continue to bring out to either search and rescue or mitigate hazards. During disasters, fire and EMS will play a vital role. We want to enhance surge capacity and triage strategies, coordinate with hospitals and public health, deliver equitable response using lessons that we have learned. If there was one thing that we learned from COVID-19, it is that sometimes the most vulnerable communities are the last to ask for help. So we as emergency management leaders want to identify the communities that are underserved, and sometimes there's language barriers or other socioeconomic factors which prevent those underserved populations. And we want to identify that so that they're not left behind in the case of disasters. Many of them do not have the means to evacuate or to be able to go to hotels. We learned that during Hurricane Katrina many years back, that so many of the people that were affected were low income, many times did not have adequate transportation, and they weren't able to evacuate prior to the incident, so they became victims. We want to prevent that from happening. It's very important that we form cross-sector partnerships. We want to have coalitions with private sector, businesses, elected officials, and responders so that we have a plan before incidents occur. We want to launch an emergency management advisory council. That council will be critical when it comes to analyzing where we are and how prepared we are for emergencies. And we want to have a public-private co-op planning group as well. State and federal coordination is very important, and our state is aligned with FEMA, DHS, and the U.S. Fire Service. And we want our vision and our strategy to align with those of FEMA, DHS, and the U.S. Fire Service as well. We are going to access funding in any way that we can, because as we know, natural disasters especially can be very, very costly. And because of that, we want to make sure that we're aware of where we are going to get our funding from, and that we are able to have a good working knowledge of what steps we need to go through, so that once again we're being proactive about our funding as well as our emergency response. We don't want to leave any stone unturned. We want to look for every opportunity that we can to get those resources out that we need. And we also want to train on that through doing drills and exercises as well. I would like to embrace proactive readiness, as I've mentioned in the past few minutes here. Proactive, proactive, proactive. That is the mentality that we have to have when it comes to running the Office of Emergency Management. We've seen a continued problem with the urban wildland interface. That is something that here in the state of Wisconsin is an issue, particularly in the central state and western parts of the state. We want to make sure that we are ready, because many of these areas are rural, and we want to expand our mutual aid and regional coordination. We want to have shared services agreements in place and continue to foster and strengthen our mutual aid box alarm system. That is a system that we have been using for the past 30 years, and it has served us very well. But as with anything, there are opportunities for growth. We want to use analytics and satellite imagery for early detection of both the potential for and for the development of wildfires. We want to look at and manage the trends in emergency management. In order to do that, we have to have community trust. Community trust is best gained through outreach, transparency, and through having public meetings. We want to make sure that we engage our stakeholders, and we want to make sure that everyone who wants information is able to get information either through our website or through personal contact. Responder wellness is top priority, but that doesn't just go with physically. It also has to do with mental health. Therefore, we need to develop robust peer support systems, as well as time off and protocols for mental recuperation. We need to have focus groups for equity and diversity to help us identify blind spots that we may have, and help us with our inclusive hiring practices. And also, we would like to have liaisons set up between community organizations and this department. We would like to train and develop through scenarios on cyber and climate threats. And I would like to take the lead and have a strong leadership presence when it comes to analyzing these new threats that we're experiencing. So my closing call to action is this: let's lead with vision, serve with compassion, and respond with unity. I want to be committed to collaboration, transparency, and feedback. I encourage dialogue and shared leadership. As your Wisconsin Emergency Management Director, I want you to feel confident that you are in good hands. Um, you are on a team. This team is only as strong as its weakest link. I will be the driving force behind that collaboration. And once again, I would like to thank all of you for your tireless work, for your day-to-day responses that you do, and for your desire to strengthen our emergency management in this state. I would like to thank the governor again for the trust that he has placed in me. And I would like to thank all of those who helped me throughout my career from the very beginning of my time in the fire service, those who mentored me along the way, my company officers and chief officers as I was coming up who served as role models for me, my family, my wife, my children. Thank you for your continued support. And together, we will build a strong, resilient, and ready Wisconsin. Thank you.